Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Okay, in this series, which is up to, I think, 60 recordings now, what I've gone through very factual assessment, analysis, history, everything, explaining why the Muslim community is an absolute failure, okay, and why it perpetuates, okay. Now, what I mean by factual, if you go back through the series, okay, from the Quran, I've explained, from the Ahadith, from the lives of Rasulullah and the Sahaba, from the Fuqaha of Islam, from a factual history of Islam here in the United States, from 33 years of experience, okay, from doing the most extensive research, assessment, analysis on the lives of converts, okay, that's ever been done. So I am, in this next few videos, I'm talking about the necessary solutions, and believe me, you know, it has to be done now, and I don't think you're going to find them anywhere else, okay? But I've explained why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is from the Quran and a Hadith, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been sending destruction, catastrophe, one after the other, on the Muslim world, okay? And it's 26 countries and counting, all right? Why it's constantly getting worse and worse and worse, and faster and faster and faster. The punishment that Allah sends. And then the reason why this is extremely urgent, okay, is that everything that has brought Allah's punishment remains exactly the same, and that includes every Muslim here and your Masaajid, okay? And now, because the Muslims have committed a massive crime here and ignored all the warnings that Allah sent, Allah has now brought fascism back into the world. And this new fascism is 1,000 times more powerful than it was in World War II. The new fascism, Allah has brought it everywhere that Muslims live. That includes the United States, of course. And you're not changing, okay? You know, this new fascism, it targets the Muslims. You do not have the help of Allah. Allah is not answering your du'as, and it's because you are not doing Islam, okay? So through this series, I've explained how, right from the beginning, the Muslims came here, especially the Arabs and Daisies, did not have the intention of Islam, did not know Islam, did not have any idea, and actually very little concern about what they would establish here. What they wanted to establish is, you know, their happy life in America. So right from the beginning, the foundation of every single thing they've done is wrong. And that's why you have systemic failure. All right, and I've gone through all this. From the beginning of the Masaajid, they were not set up right. From the beginning of the Masjid program, the Masjid programs were not right. You know, everything basically about the community and the people in the community is off the base of Islam, that's why you have disasters, okay? But in total, what you have shown here in the United States is that you are essentially useless to Allah's deen. And not only useless, but harmful. Okay? That is why Allah is basically in the process of wiping Muslims off the earth, and I mean specifically the Arabs and Desis. Okay? But not only, because I've talked about, okay, it's okay that any Muslim arrived ignorant about Islam. And I was just talking to one Imam tonight, and I said that any convert who came to Islam, we didn't know that the Muslims had left Islam. We became Muslims for Allah's deen. What we learned about it, we believed it, and we jumped in. We knew nothing about the Muslims. And then when we enter the community, then every convert has the realization these people don't know what they're doing. Okay? But then for me, like I was thinking 30 years ago, okay, but now they're going to open Masaajid and they have people to teach Islam, and inshallah it'll get better, so one day inshallah I'll have a functioning community. 33 years later, nothing changed, nothing improved, okay? That's a big hit for converts. When many of us have the worst crisis that a human being can have, and that is when you lose the good people in your life after becoming a Muslim, okay, after relocating, you lose everybody, and then after that you find out, oh my God, these Muslims left Islam. A few years later, you're like, oh my God, these Muslims are dysfunctional, and then decades later, you're seeing that continues generation after generation. And then someone like myself who's studied enough Islamic history and enough of the history of the Muslim world to know, then we see right in front of us why Muslims have been in decline and failure for 500 years. Okay? All right. So now the thing about the Masaajid, understand why when they're not operating properly, you've got so many Muslims in the community who don't mind, because for them, they don't want the masjid for anything else except to stop by and make salah once in a while, stop by and have a family dinner once in a while, stop by and, listen to somebody talk. But for those of us who really want Islam in the world, Islam in our country, among our people, okay, it matters. Especially those of us who had our lives destroyed because you never started doing Islam. All right? So it's a disaster. It is not acceptable the way your Masajid are to perpetuate the same program and the same failure and the same mentality generation after generation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing a severe punishment to get rid of you. It's a fact, okay? But the thing is that, of course, you have the converts who are not useless to Islam. We never intended to spend our lives useless to Islam. And there are some Muslims in the community who actually want things to get better. But then you have, number one, there's nobody in the community who actually knows what the heck they're doing. Number two, the forum, the main forum of the community, the masjid, okay, is a failure. And you can't get through to get the changes implemented. Okay? It's set up for perpetual failure. All right, so I've gone through these. What I'm going to be talking about is the solutions, but I'm just recapping what I've been through. I've been talking about this for years. I have developed the projects that are necessary for all of us to implement to make the changes. But I'm talking about a total reformat. I'm talking about massive change. Again, there are Muslims who don't want to fail. There are Muslims who don't want to be wiped off the earth. There are good Muslims who want to be helpful and participate in making corrections and starting to get things done right and turned around. But again, you've got, the establishment, like Bernie Sanders always says, and he's right, that it's an establishment that is not only a failure, but it's set up to make sure that it stays that way. And that's exactly what you have. You have quasi-Islam. Go back through this, okay? And of course, quasi-Islam is useless because it's not on the foundation of actual deen. Go back through my videos, please. Extremely important. If you don't understand any of this, you're not going to get it, all right? That's why I've gone through this whole series to lay the foundations of understanding what went wrong, why it perpetuated, so you can understand what I'm going to be talking about now, which is the solutions, the right projects, the right programs. And I had a session, I've had several, where I'm saying the Masaajid are guaranteeing perpetual failure. Okay? They also have to be redefined and reformatted. This is what you call systemic failure. Okay? It means that the failure is in the system. The failure then, as the system, it involves everybody in the community. It constantly reproduces more and more failure and more problems, and you can't solve any of it until you change the system itself. All right, so that's what I'm going to go into when I come back, inshallah. Just take a little break. Jazakumullah khair. Please be back. Assalamu alaikum.